Hi, everyone. Harry here to talk about Donald Trump's botched effort to try to move the Manhattan DA criminal charges against him from state court, where criminal charges under state law are normally brought, to federal court. Um, what is going on here? First, remember the case. This is Alvin Bragg's case, and it all emerges from the Stormy Daniels episode where he pays hush money through the offices of Michael Cohen in order to keep, or this is the allegation, seems quite strong, to keep it from coming out at the very end of the campaign. What he does thereafter that constitutes crimes under New York law. You know, you monkey around with. There's a false statement initially saying it was for business expenses when it isn't, and those sorts of things. So we're in Stormy Daniels land. All right, why does he want to be in federal court? Two reasons, a small one and a big one. The small one is the jury pool. And it's a slightly better pool for Trump. No, of course, anywhere in New York is pretty. He's poisoned pretty well, but Manhattan, his old stomping grounds, is in the 90% of people who revile him. That's not an official poll. That's just me. That's just sort of the impression. And the jury pool for now is in Manhattan. If it went to federal court, it would be a little broader. Some of the surrounding suburban communities with business commuters from Westchester or Rye. Well-to-do people taking the train into Manhattan, and maybe there'd be, a better, likely there'd be, more Trump supporters there than in Manhattan only. But that's, of course, a pretty low bar. That's the small reason. The big reason is he wants to argue that when he did all this stuff with Stormy Daniels, he was acting in his capacity as a federal official. That is, the president of the United States. Because if you're acting in that capacity, first, that's your hook to remove a case from state to federal court. It's almost always done for civil cases, but you can do it, at least theoretically, for criminal cases. And we saw this before with the Gene Carroll case. He wants to say, I'm acting in my official capacity, and from back in Reconstruction days, Congress had passed a statute to keep state courts and lawmakers from administering kind of home cooking and hailing feds into state court and basically railroading them. So this removal statute says you can remove if you were acting in the scope of your employment as a federal official. And moreover, and again, we saw this in Gene Carroll, there's a separate, if you were doing that, you get immunity of, it's not 100%, but pretty big immunity anyway. So getting it into federal court is nearly tantamount to dismissing the whole thing. Okay, little problem here. All the conduct is by candidate Trump, basically. It's all the hush money is precisely to keep it coming out at the end of the campaign and losing the campaign. So he's not a federal official at all. How did he try to get around this yesterday in a 2.5-hour argument before the judge in the Bragg case? Justice, that's what they call judges at the trial level, Justice Hellerstein. Okay, so first, we've heard this before, it's because he signed one or two of the final checks reimbursing Michael Cohen while he was president. So there you go. The conduct is, the very tail end of it, the tail very much wagging the dog being all the payout of the hush money and the false certifications, etc. But a check or two is signed in the White House. That's first. And then second, he unveiled this argument that the only reason that he hired Michael Cohen as his personal lawyer was because it was Michael Cohen's job to really make sure that he, Donald Trump, was staying on the clean and narrow with his official responsibilities. So that's who Michael Cohen is, the guy who's saying, don't do this, that's personal, you do this, it's official, and therefore the argument would go, anything that Cohen is taking care of is part of the official, his official duties. I mean, it doesn't make sense because by definition, he's on the personal side of the ledger, but somehow the argument is because Cohen's job is to segregate the two functions, that anything Cohen's doing is also part of his official conduct. One more big problem, though, that's not Cohen's job, and it never was. So what actually happened in the hearing before Hellerstein is the lawyer for Trump got up and asked to present a witness, which had been specifically, by the way, precluded by the ground rules for the hearing. But, ground rules, Trump, they don't really go hand in hand. And so they brought a witness out on the stand, surprise witness. This is really going to make Trump's case for him. It's the chief legal counsel of the Trump organization. And big problem number 3 is on cross-examination, the assistant district attorney who was saying, keep this case in state court, made mincemeat of him, was able to say, for example, have you ever seen a retainer agreement? No. Is there any evidence whatsoever that Michael Cohen was retained for this special job of keeping Trump on the straight and narrow? No. And then on the contrary, it's clear that it's all personal stuff. And that's what he's doing. The most he could say is they were trying to disentangle as part of his presidency from a certain law firm, but nothing at all after this whole big novel argument. And we've got our surprise Perry Mason witness right here, even though we're not supposed to have witnesses, bring him in, and he like a complete belly flop. Okay, so that's 3 or 4 total blunders, and then at the end, Justice Hellerstein said, I'm not saying this for sure, but let me give you my impressions now. He'll be doing a opinion in the next couple weeks. I don't see this at all. The quality of justice, by the way, will be just as good in state court as federal court. So, that kind of underlying emphasis of the removal statute doesn't cut it here. Nothing the witness said advanced the ball at all. He as much as said, you've lost this, Trump, and this hearing was a complete belly flop. So we'll look for a written opinion in the next couple weeks. It almost certainly will say things stay in state court. Trump, that means, state Manhattan jury, and very little hope for the argument of, hey, I was just acting as a president at the time when I was making payouts to Stormy Daniels before I even became president. So we'll see exactly how Hellerstein writes it, but he's made it pretty clear this is not going anywhere. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.